Pizza's here. Uh, yeah, that was my wife. Okay. Sky2 says, I thought it was a neat coincidence that Tactics Ogre got its Steam reboot the same year Symphony was released. Hopefully that brings some more attention. I don't. Maybe it did. Let's look at the. When was it launched here? Because there was also some other things that make the comparison not quite apples to apples. You can't see this, can you? All right, you can't. Let me look here at like the impression. You can see an impressions graph, right? On Steam, basically. Okay, last month or so. Let's see. All right, so the game was launched. Tactics Ogre was launched on the 11th of November, right? When was it launched? Let's look. Somebody probably already typed it, and I'm just a slow dumbass. Tactics Ogre Reborn. I love analytics, by the way, and this is why. Oh, it's 11/11, yeah. Okay, so our impressions on in that time frame went dramatically down. So, let me see here. That was no pizza. That was my. That's Spaceballs. Let's see. It looks like there was like a tiny little bump in Steam impressions around that time, but it was also when there was no sale happening. And we had just finished up the a Halloween sale and the Halloween event. So really, the Steam impressions for Symphony were at basically an all-time low, up until the autumn event here. So, or the whatever the autumn sale, whatever that's called now. So, yeah, I guess what could I have done to capitalize on Tactics Ogre Reborn? I don't know. Someone tell me. I don't think much. Honestly, I don't think that the people. How? I mean, it is a big overlap between the people who would enjoy Tactics Ogre Reborn and the people who would enjoy Symphony of War, right? Well, let's see here. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. We have a publisher that does all this stuff. So yeah. See. All right. Can you guys hear the music, by the way? I've got Final Fantasy VI running. It's running pretty quiet, though. Can you hear it? Still nothing? Huh. Why is it not picking up my... Nothing. It's turned actually all the way up. Like I hear it blaring right now. I think it's just not. Oh God, how do you do this? Okay. Why would I... Milo, that is silly. Milo. That would be ridiculous, Milo. I like you, so I can give you shit for that. Okay. No, it's just playing on YouTube on Chrome right now. See zoom filters. I see it sounds from. I listened that we got ring walk. Huh? Yeah, why is? Come on. Thanks for bearing with me here. No, Milo says, are you trying to play it through your speakers and having the mic pick it up? Oh, you silly boy. It definitely filtered YouTube playing in a browser window. That's exactly what I was trying to do. Oh, really? Well, how do you fix it? Well, anyway, why don't we... Okay, who's here? I gave up. Fixed? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Why is it not letting YouTube go through? It's just Google Chrome, actually. Hello, hello. All right. All right. We have a small but wonderful group here today. So, do we want to talk about the DLC? Do we want to talk about Symphony of War 2? Or do we want to just talk about this map that we're looking at for Symphony of War 2 world building? So right now, Dave Valrath, I am broadcasting the... I'm going through an audio interface, my Steinberg UR242, and it is not picking up Chrome. Because I am listening to wonderful music from Final Fantasy VI right now, and if only you were too. Okay, well, how about this? All right, let's get some music going from... Let's see if you can hear this. Wait a minute. No? Still nothing. Fuck. OBS. I'm using Twitch Studio. Yeah, Twitch Studio beta. Well, I don't know. Pop on your favorite music. Okay. So some DLC details. Okay, so the DLC is going to be 8 new chapters. Sonata Arctica it is. Never heard of that. What is that? Okay. Power metal. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we have 8 new levels planned for the DLC. They are, I mean, I can just tell you which character. So there's certain characters that didn't quite get, I think didn't quite get the full story told. There are definitely other characters that had a very thorough, very complete story. Wrap it in a bow, call it good. That's like the protagonist. That's Diana. That's Lysander, Stefan. That's to a lesser extent Barnabas and Jules and Sybil. Kind of that first group that you meet. I think their story has been told. There's really not much more to them. They don't really have much more backstory to tell either. Not really. Well, Barnabas, I shouldn't say that because he's actually in 2 of the DLC chapters as a younger version of himself. So there are other characters that, unfortunately, I don't think are going to make it into this DLC, but I think do deserve more kind of storytelling or backstory, of course. First time chat from Greg Raham. DLC is prequel. Good question, Greg. By the way, thanks for joining us. If you haven't followed, please do. Greg Raham. Is that how you say your name? Yeah, Yaramir, Milo. Yaramir is going to be starred in a big chunk of the DLC. Yep, you got it. So there's some characters that are going to get a lot more backstory, a lot more, current story or future story, whatever, told in the DLC chapters. Milo has an emoticon for everything, just at the ready. So but there are other characters who won't be able to make it into the DLC because I can't figure out how to fit them in story-wise. And I don't think we have kind of the time and energy to figure out more different ways of fitting them in. So we've got 8 chapters. We've got Yaramir is the star of 2 of them. So he definitely needed a lot more. We've got another chapter where Kuroda is the star, because you kind of see his origin story. We have another chapter where Beatrix is the star. So I do think that Beatrix had quite a bit of storytelling in the main chapters, but there's certainly a lot of mystery in her backstory, I think. So I think it's warranted that Beatrix has a whole mission to herself. And it's Beatrix's backstory is really important to the world of Tanra and the future of Tanra. In terms of just like the nature of the world and how everything works and how magic works and how just the world was everything, all the mythology, and it all kind of is somehow linked to Beatrix's backstory. It's kind of crazy. I won't tell you explicitly how in this DLC, but it certainly will give you big clues and lots to think about as we develop our sequel. We've got 2 missions where one General Ragavi will be getting starred, and those are actually alongside of Yaramir's chapters, so it's the same 2 chapters. And she will be getting fully fleshed out, like a portrait. She'll get bonds and all that stuff. So she's going to basically join the main cast in the DLC. We've got 2 chapters starring Young, Antares, and Barnabas. They're going to be taking part in the succession war that is so talked about in the main story that took place several years ago. Antares is going to basically have a major part in ending that war, and you will play it out. And then at the time, Barnabas will be not even an officer. I mean, he's still not an officer. He's still an enlisted man in his, in his 40s and 50s or whatever. But he's a cadet. He's a recruit, this long ago. So you see young Barnabas, young Antares, and the different portrait artists who is a lot better than the original. So we're also going to hopefully, I don't know if this is going to go through completely, but we're going to have totally redone portraits for everybody, not just the DLC characters. I don't know if that's going to go through. We do have a few that are already done that are really, really good. Some of them very much needed an improvement, and I would say, Barnabas. We have young Barnabas. Young Barnabas looks awesome. Young Antares looks awesome. We have Regavi's portrait. Regavi is unbelievably awesome portrait. Just fantastic. I love that portrait. We've got, and Barnabas looks way better. We have several of the current chapters portraits being done, like Alex, like Jebediah, like Kuroda. They're a little bit better, I would say, so far. We have young Empress Florina, and we have current Empress Florina. Both have been redone way better. Holy mackerel. And our beloved patron channel has sneak peeks into all these things. Although I've put some more teasers in I've put some teasers in the DLC channel and the Symphony of War 2 channel on occasion, but the patron channel gets like all of the teasers. So do you think Kuroda has the best portrait in the game? Seriously? It's like just a generic robed guy. Like, I guess. That portrait was actually not supposed to be his. It was supposed to be a generic cultist guy. Is only right side audio working on the stream? Hi, Amelia Clark's eyebrows. Are you only hearing right side? Oh, what the fuck? All right, hold on. Okay, better? Oh my god, isn't that the truth, Amelia Clark's eyebrows? So true. Speakers and printers both still suck in 2022. I hate debugging sound and printing. Oh, yeah. Anyway. Okay, so you like... That's crazy. You like Kuroda's portrait the best. Anyway. Well, that one got redone. I think it's a little bit better. It actually looks like... It actually looks like an assassin instead of a robed cultist guy, you know? It's the same design. It's just done with better, I think, just better lines, better contrast, better colors. Milo says, steady hand, Phil. Understandable. You want to fix the art, but you don't want to go full George Lucas either. Yes, that has definitely crossed my mind, and that's why I'm not going to copy over some of the really, really iconic portraits. We know who those are. Unless, because I'm going to have this artist actually do take a shot at all of them. So if they're all better, then they're all going to be included. We all love Beatrix's portrait. We all love Diana's portrait. We all love Lindley's portrait. And a couple of others, I think. Lysander's, Stefan's portrait. It's going to be hard to top those in terms of the charm. Like, we know those really well, right? But this artist, I think, it's just cares a lot more. Just cares a lot more. about the job than the first artist did. And I can say that the first artist kind of ghosted me, and kind of gave me a really hard time through this whole process. Nothing personal. It's just I think this team was just done working with this project because it was a small indie project, and who gives a shit, right? And I was like in 2017 that he was doing this stuff. Now I think that this game has proven that it's not just a dinky little indie project that's going nowhere. Now I'm able to kind of get artists a little bit more motivated. Like, hey, it's out now and people like it, and it's got a lot of impressions on Steam, a lot of impressions on Epic and GOG and Twitter and all those places. And so your work is not going to be just a fart in a hurricane. It's gonna actually be seen by some people. So I think that's what made it a little bit easier for me to hire an artist that really cares. And that's the difference, because the first artist is a freaking monster. He's incredibly talented, but I just think his heart was not in it for a lot of our portraits for the first game. So the artist is I'll tell you when the DLC is out. He's really good. He's a really cool person. He lives in Europe, in a country I won't even say which. People tend to steal artists. Amelia Clark's eyebrows says, is Symphony of War 2 going to be chronologically a direct follow-up to this? It is, but not like right after. It's going to take place in the year so 999 is the year that the game ends in Symphony of War 1. The second game will take place in around 1120 or so, maybe like 1110 to 1120 around there, right? So, not a like direct follow up, but and also that kind of allows me to start a new story. I get really bored with the same thing over and over again, right? Very quickly. And so having it take place further allows time for the characters to age out of the world. You know what I mean? So if we were to do a series where it's already planned, where it's going to be like, okay, the first game is going to be they're all in their teens, and then the next game they're going to be the same characters in their 20s and 30s. The next game it's going to be they're all in their 40s and 50s, and now it's their kids who are doing all the work. So that would have to be something we pre-planned. I did not do that for Symphony of War 1, so I'm not going to just shoehorn and people say, like, well, why don't you just figure it out? I just have very high standards for myself. I'm a very obsessive perfectionist when it comes to, like, world building, storytelling, stuff like that. So, so because I didn't plan it in, and hey, Disney, you might want to consider doing that for your Star Wars sequels. Just saying, having a self-accountability for what you planned and what you didn't, rather than trying to shoehorn something in at the last second. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah, we could make that work if I had like the script written for like 2 or 3 games that were in direct chronological order, but this one wasn't. So I'm warping ahead like 120 years. And so the character's going to age out. Basically, that not only the characters to age out, but also kind of like the circumstances of the world, right? Like if it takes place right after the end events of Symphony of War 1, then you're talking about like now you have to kind of resolve what just happened, like with the cult and the temple and the Empire of Arcalis and kind of the aftermath of Casimir's death and all that stuff, right? So I don't want to do that. I just want the story is told. Like that's why the DLC is not a future content pack, because the story has been told. It's been wrapped up in a bow. It's done. Ship it. Call it good, right? That's why it's all side stories and back stories for the DLC. So That's right, Milo. Into the grave. Age out. Yeah. Meaning they die. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Although everyone wants me to make Beatrix still alive 120 years later. I guess. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, how does crazy old lady Beatrix going to fit into the sequel? I don't know. So... Yes, the epilogue says she lives a long time. The epilogue does not say she lives 120 years later. It says she lives to 120. So she doesn't live to 150 or whatever, because she's like in her 20s or 30s in the first game. I could be wrong. Maybe I forgot what I wrote there. Whatever. I missed some messages here. Amelia Clark's Eyebrows says, and I know this is a theme for every Twitch stream I do, but I love that name. It's the best name I've ever heard for an internet slogan. Is Judecca. It's Judecca. J is in Judas. It has nothing to do with Judas, and it has nothing to do with Jewish or whatever. It's lifted from the bottom level of Dante's Inferno, because you have the Cocytus, and then you have the different levels of the icy abyss that Lucifer is stuck in Dante's Inferno. And Judecca is the name of the lowest one, actually, where if you're a really, really bad person, that's where you go. I don't know what the origin of that word is in Dante's Inferno. I'm not like some literary guy. I just lifted it from Dante's Inferno. If someone knows the origin of that name in Dante's Inferno, I'm guessing most people here are more literate than I am in terms of like books. Let me know. I like learning about that stuff for sure. Sky2 says his heart or something was definitely into Narima's boobs. Indeed, lots of heart put into that. Amelia Clark's Eyebrows says, enough time for a newly formed Empire Republic to fuck everything up. You got it. That's what I'm saying, is I want the current, like, countries and, like, events and stuff to just be digested, by time. I want them to be processed by time so that I can just completely start fresh. I want to do fresh, new stuff, Koi says, is the DLC something we can play after finishing the game, or is it something you need to start fresh to enjoy? Awesome. Perfect question. Thank you for asking me that. So in all of our free updates now and all of the updates after the DLC, we have retrofitted all of your stuff. So you didn't have to start a new save to do any of this stuff. We are probably going to have to force you to start a new game. So you buy the DLC. If you have in-progress saves, don't quote me on this because I don't know the technical behind it, but it's most likely that you will not have the DLC content in that save. That's just because there's going to be really big changes to classes, items, traits, chapters. It would fuck everything up badly, right? So it's most likely going to be new games only that would reflect the DLC content. D-Valor says, no, Ray is a nobody and somebody at the same time. Back to when I was pissing all over Star Wars. Yeah, boy, that can just be like a theme. Every Twitch we talk about Amelia Clark's Eyebrows, how much the Star Wars sequels suck, and a tier list for nerds. We'll do all those things, and Milo will make a lot of hilarious wisecracks. So after 100 years of tech advancement, are we going to have more guns and tanks? Good question. I don't want to. So this is one of the reasons why it's hard to do an ongoing medieval high fantasy kind of story when you're comparing fictional medieval universes to Earth, where 100 years makes a lot of difference, So basically, if you were to take the majority of the Symphony of War themed soldiers in compared to like what were their inspirations from Earth's history, you would probably go to the year 1400 in Western Europe. That's basically kind of the pike and shot era. You kind of had your Spanish tercios. You had your Swiss and German mercenaries that used, made use of a lot of halberds, pikes. You still had heavy plate armor. It was kind of in its more advanced stages, and it was very, very good. It was basically, steel techniques had gotten so good that it was basically impenetrable armor outside of firearms. Long swordsman was still kind of a thing with your Zweihanders and all that stuff. You kind of had the knights, the medieval sort of knights that you see in Symphony of War 1, I would say probably started to filter out by that time in Europe's history, where you started to see more lancers kind of play that specific role of shock cavalry, but they were kind of losing popularity due to the widespread use of pike formations, and pike and shot especially was one of the nails in the coffin for heavy cavalry in that form, right? You still had heavy cavalry widespread use by that year, but by the time 1500 comes around, now you're talking guns are everywhere. Medieval muskets, the arquebus, the matchlock was basically everywhere. It was being used in different countries or different continents even, right? So now that's 100-year difference in Europe's history, right? Where you go from having primarily still a like a Renaissance level tech, heavy plate armor, heavy knights, pikes, stuff like that. 100 years goes, and you would get your ass kicked if you had that same army, because now everyone else has guns, widespread matchlock rifle, or not rifles, but matchlock guns, right? Which if you know anything about kind of the emergence of these weapons and how they've been used in various battles. So I'm looking at the Sengoku Jidai, the battle of what's that? Nagashima, Battle of Nagashima. Nagashino. So Nagashino was in 1575 a fortress in central Japan, where you had at the time the most formidable cavalry army was the Takeda clan's cavalry army. Feared elite force, just get absolutely wrecked by clever use of matchlocks. So that was one of those kind of what's the kind of the swan song of the old way of doing warfare. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Robots, characters age out, mostly because the epilogue says she is. Dementia wizard, schizophrenic hallucinations of meteor swarms. Sure. Eyebrows. Hey, Chill Saber, how's it going? Thanks for the eyebrows. Milo said, "Are you still here?" Chill. Okay, you are here. It's Judas. He's one of the 4 great betrayers. Yeah, I kind of had that suspicion, D. Valroth, that it's Judeca is named after Judas. My Judeca Desert is not named after Judas. Okay? It's literally just ripped off from Dante's Inferno. Where'd you get that name from? Is it supposed to symbolize Judas? All right. Judas Ptolemy. Yeah, Ptolemia. That's where Mount Ptolemia comes from, too. Mark Antony and Cain are imprisoned with him. Interesting. Are you sure? I thought Brutus and Cassius were also there as well. The betrayers of Caesar. Right after that, Emilia Clarke's eyebrow says, I thought Brutus was one. He's talking about the different regions of the lowest level of hell. Judeca, Ptolemia, Antenora, and Cana. Gotcha. All right. Love this guy. Man with the answers. He's our Lysander. Sky2 says, I mean, that sounds like a pretty good dinner party aside from the egos. Emilia Clarke says, yeah, but Lucifer is eating 3 guys and one of them is Judas. Okay, I'm backtracking your conversation that you guys had like a bunch of years ago. in this chat. Shitting on the new Star Wars sounds like I found the right community. Yes. We can all agree that shitting on the new Star Wars is a good thing to do. You know, live life to its fullest. Love your family. Meditate. Go on the outside. Eat well. And shit on Star Wars sequels. That's like the 5 pillars of life. Tech advances so far that Symphony of War 2 is a spiritual next Advance Wars. You could do the Star Wars thing where tech seems to freeze for 25,000 years. That's true. Yeah. Actually, tech goes backwards in Star Wars. Like, they talk about, like, the way in the past wars. It seems like they had way better stuff back then. D. Valorous says, Tondra seems to have a tendency to blow itself up and reset its tech level. You got it. That's the one. Or go much more magic heavy with golems, griffins, and undead troops. I nominated Symphony of War for Labor of Love. Okay. Let's see. Thanks, Chill, by the way. I appreciate that. First time chat from the Frommy86. Welcome, the Frommy86. Glad you're here. Glad you followed. I nominated it for I lol. Is that a typo or is that purpose? I lol-minated it for best game I'm bad in. Probably not yet. It fits in there for me. It's interesting that there is a city of Innsbruck in the game. I have a friend who lives in the real city. In Austria. Yeah. I was almost there. I have a friend who lives in Bavaria. I know. Well, gosh, I finally caught up with messages. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of the names come from stuff in Earth, or they come from, like, specifically, either they're directly lifted from Earth stuff, or they're very Earth-like. If we zoom in on, this is Viridia. So this is Viridia proper, basically. So you've got, you can't see my mouse, I guess, but, we've got a lot of names that are German sounding. We've got a lot of names that are Scandinavian sounding. We've got French sounding. And we've got English sounding. So we've got, like, this is like the Western Europe of Tondra, right? And we've got some, kind of like fantasy stuff, like that doesn't sound like any of those specific regions. But, mostly you see like Middelburg, I think, is actually a city. I think it's a city in either Germany or Norway or Sweden. If there's actually Europeans here, you probably know better than I do. Innsbruck, of course, is a major city in Austria. I've got Aberlund here. That's obviously sounds very Scandinavian. Teutoburg is a forest in Germany, right? Right. So Westerfeld is I would say an English sounding, so. At Eureka, I had to think of the sci-fi show. Okay. Anyway, so the tech conversation. Yeah, tech. So, D. Valroth, this guy is scary how well tuned in he is to my wavelength here, but he's got it exactly right. Tondra does tend to blow itself up and reset its tech levels a lot. That happened from Skyborn. It happened... where do you live, the Frommy? Are you in Germany? So that is what happens. It's not just tech levels, because it's not just technology that is inherently iterative. It's you live in okay, so you're kind of near sort of like Frankfurt or Dresden, or where are you at? I guess it would be. What is the capital of Thuringia? My German geography is failing me right now. I think we got a new fan art submission from Drizzt. Cool. I like that one. Technically, it uses in-game art, but it also includes original art, so it's not disqualified. In the way that they use this, like, I don't care that they're using the sorceress from the game. It's fine. It's not gonna. So I'm not judging his art based on the sorceress. I'm judging just his original or his or her original art. So it's just kind of a judgment call that I have to make. Okay. You live in Erfurt? It's probably not even remotely right. Shit, I forgot I need to get back to drawing. Alligator. 2 more weeks before the deadline. Oh, no. Yeah, you got let's see. 2.5 weeks left. No worries. We'll do more of those in the future. All right. Yeah, the tech level. God, tech level. Yeah. So it's going to mostly be the same, but it's going to depend heavily on what part of the world you're in. So I zoomed out in the world here. I think it's no secret that I absolutely love making maps. I love making maps. It's so fun to me. And this is obviously a different geography than the Tonnery you know in Symphony of War 1. One of the reasons I did one big continent like this is it kind of serves... It's hard to explain. It serves the kind of storytelling that the Symphony of War franchise tells really well. It's hard to fit in vastly different tracts of land, I guess. It's hard to describe. Like, it's really nice when you have these like neighboring political entities. Like in the middle we have Viridia, and on the left there we've got Sayuna. Then in the south, there's a new country that's not featured in Symphony of War 1 called Varna. It's a trade empire. Then they've got the Demirians, also that little island on the south central part. We've got Skyborn way in the center top here. This is the Skyborn realm. Right up here. So it's got like these towers and it's kind of shrouded in clouds. So I might as well zoom in. So we've got the Demiria here. These are kind of halfling types. Hello, Maya. We've got, so here's Varna. This is a new country that is basically, let me just get Varna in view. So basically this is Varna, and their capital's here. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. It's the biggest trade port in the world. And these guys are actually themed after, like, I really like kind of the lore of the Mali Empire and Mansa Musa and that whole tour that he went of the Middle East. These guys are kind of modeled after that. So, so there's going to be basically like this whole part of the world is basically like these guys are the master traders, the shipping masters, right? But they're like the lawful kind. They're not like the pirate kind, right? But then you also have other shippers like these guys over here in Sunset Bay who definitely are the pirate kind, right? So as you kind of get further out into the peripherals of the world, and this kind of applies to Earth too, like not now because like humans are everywhere, but like as you get away from the middle of the world is like Armitage, the capital of Viridia. It's the big city here. As you get further and further out from like the core of civilization, you get less order, you get more danger, you get from both nature and from the people and the creatures that live there, right? So as you get past, this horrible desert, this huge endless desert, you get over these huge mountains, and now you're talking like this part of the world has like no connection to, let's just call it the core, right? It has no connection to the core. And so you have a lot more propensity to get pirates, kind of black market activity, criminal activity, or just wilderness, just untamed wilderness, right? So, the core isn't just Viridia. The core also includes big cities like Varna. It also includes Demiria, right? The core includes big cities like Grandminster over here. It also includes like major cities like Embor is there, and Stormrook, the capital of the Skyborn, and Ebengard up here, right? It definitely includes the Kingdom of Siuna here. So I'm talking just like centers of a civilization, right? Just the further you get from those, like some things that are farther away, you got Mount Karnak here, which is not somewhere you want to be. There's these endless mountain peaks. You've got past Embor, you have the Ostgard River, which our German friend here, the Frami86. Is that a German style name or is it a Swedish style name? I think Ost means east, right? In German, but Ostgard sounds Swedish. I don't know. So, but yeah, basically this is the eastern flank of civilization, because once you get past that, now you're looking at just like this endless cold, lifeless tundra, right? And then you get to like this little Fort Rittenbach out here. What is that guy doing there? Right? He's kind of lonely. And then you get to like these marshes, and then these horrible mountains here, and then like this scary fortress here. And then past that, you just have like the middle of Antarctica, basically. Like why would you even be there? So, you kind of have like these edges, these peripherals of civilization that like, I kind of really like that idea of like, don't cross the Ostgard River, because there's no reason to be on the other side of the Ostgard River, right? There's no reason to be on the other side of the Mist Hollow Forest here, because what's on the other side? It looks like pure hell, But then past here you have a nice, comfy, temperate grasslands, right? Kind of the same thing here. Why would you don't go past Fort Nikeda? Because it's just a giant ass desert. There's no reason to be there. If you live in the Varna country, don't go past Antigona or Miletos, because it's just more desert, right? If you live in Siuna, don't go past Fort Dakur, because it's the desert, Or don't go on Sonara Island, because there's all sorts of bad shit happening there. Don't go on Valora Island, because there's pirates, there's mean people there, right? We'll talk more about those guys later. Don't go to Mount Karnak, because why would you go to an erupting volcano? Right? So stuff like that. So, Ostgard is a place in Sweden. I just kind of went to Fantasy Name Generator and put just like, generate Swedish town names, generate German town names, and just like that stuff. Sky2 says, Pike and Shot, Sengoku, are you tabletop gamers? Nope, just a history nerd. Anyway, so let's just talk about these regions a little bit. Is this interesting to you people? Because it is interesting to me, but like, I don't know if it's interesting, just talking about the world building. Blood Ape, first time chat. Super short question. Are there any plans to change turn length on enemy turns? I love this game as it progresses. I find myself losing patience with it due to watching enemies for so long. So you can, right now, you can turn off enemy battle animations through the options menu, and you can also hold down the fast forward button, which is currently tilde, and then whatever you have tilde mapped to on your controller, to try to speed through those turns. Okay, it is interesting. That's good. By the way, first time chat from Blood Ape. Thanks for being here. Give us a follow. Well, I don't think you would want tilde to be a toggle. Have you ever used an emulator where your speed up is a toggle? Right? And then you're like trying to stop it, and you're like, oh god, what's the button? All right, well, that's interesting. Cool. Well, this is Viridia proper. There should be some very familiar names here. Armitage is still the capital. We have Remorg here. It's still Remorg. We have Asanter. Teutoburg was a city in Chapter 10 near Asanter. We have Trusea was a major city in Chapter 10 and Chapter 11, which was your base in 11. Westerfeld was, part of events. Lemlin, obviously, is a big part of the first game. We've got Innsbruck here. And we've got this thing here. I don't know what this is, but I just thought this is crazy peninsula out in the middle of nowhere. We just put this big old tower here. Maybe it's where Beatrix lives. We got Cressmore Castle. Cressmore Castle is a prison, actually. It's like not somewhere you want to be. We've got, so this whole area is kind of dominated by the Herald River. It's a little bit like the North America's Mississippi River complex. I guess it does look a little bit like North America. This is Florida over here, and we've got kind of Texas here, and looks like Mexico. I get it. And then you've got kind of the Great Lakes here. So, and Lemelin over here. And then, I guess, this desert, there is a desert in this part of North America. It's like the Mojave and, kind of the American Southwest. I guess this could be California, right? Sayuna could be in California. Because there's parts of it that are really nice. There's parts of it that are just blistering deserts, just like California. So, Maya says, I'd like there to be an option to set it as a toggle because I have done that and I prefer it as a toggle personally. Gotcha. Lemlin broke up with the Graydon Marshes. Yeah. So the some stuff got shuffled around. Graydon Marshes here. So in this world, there's no longer dukes and duchies like there are in Symphony of War 1. The polity that kind of took over this core kind of did away with the nobility ranks, but still had a form of that. So you're going to have like great houses instead, lords of a great house, right? And so you have the lord of family whatever living in Remorg Palace. You have the lord of whatever living in a Santer Palace. You still have the main temple in Lemelin, so that's going to be the Grand Master of the Donari Temple. And of course, then you have the central government out of Armitage. It's sort of similarly structured that way. You have the Lord of Embor Palace, So you still kind of have those major sub-regions of Viridia. You have Embor, you have Remorg, you have a Santer, and then you have Lemelin, you have Armitage. It's basically the same stuff, just kind of reshuffled around for storytelling purposes. Plus, I think it looks cool. I think the aesthetics of this map are really great, just the way it flows. Not that the other one was bad, but... and the story starts in Melmond, basically. So, and starts in basically the eastern half of Viridia proper, and then you'll actually go, in this story, you will go everywhere. I love it. You're going all over the world, baby. So John Locke Cole says, so on technological development, lots of fantasy worlds claim that the presence of magic in the world leads to slower technological development because people tend to seek magic solutions as much as inventions. Also, there are historical cases of very slow technological development during times when cultures isolated themselves and or had frequent wars. Exactly. What's your Discord name, John Locke Cole? That's a smart comment. I like smart comments. You're a smart guy, person. Are you in our Discord? Oh, you are in our Discord. You don't talk much, though. It's been a while. Okay. Like an open world thing or still a fixed route? Good question. I think it's still fundamentally going to be a fixed route as a central spine. Well, glad you're back, John. It's kind of like a central structure for the storytelling. But there's going to most likely be a lot more opportunities, like ongoing opportunities to do side stuff. For example, if there's like just a small minor side quest, like if you make it to Remorg, for example, and instead of moving to the next story mission, maybe the Lord of Remorg is like, I need you to go kill some bandits over here, or something like that. It's going to be more interesting than that, but like there's opportunities to kind of expand the things that you can do in your home base rather than just arena, or specific side quests that are like story-based side quests. There might be like, like how Skyrim generates quests. We haven't really talked about that much, though, Mithrin and I. So don't quote me on that. But I'd really like to do stuff like that. All right. So moving on to another country we know very well is Sayuna. So here's the whole of Sayuna, basically. It's bigger, actually, than it is comparatively to the world than it was in the first game. But I would say the significance of it is just about the same. It's, I would say, the second. Well, now it's the third. It's the third most significant country in the world, behind Viridia and Grandminster over here. So, you know, you've got up here kind of like the main lake that it's on, just like in the first game. You've got familiar city names. You've got some new city names. You have Ezram here. We know about Ezram. Kind of like one of the primary bulwarks, typically. And, you know, if you look at kind of how it's structured, where would the danger be coming from? They've got the water over here. They've got the mountains up here and the mountains over here. It would really be coming from the desert region, right? If there's any raiders, or certainly just Mother Nature is dangerous in this area, you know, so that's why they've kind of walled off this area. But also, typically, not typically, but throughout history, there have been times when Sayuna and Viridia are rivals, direct rivals, right? So that's why you still have kind of a legacy of forward fortifications, like the walls outside of Ezram and Fort Nakor here, and Fort Nikeda here. But right now, they're actually part of the same empire. It's kind of weird. There's lords in Viridia, and there's king of Sayuna, or queen of Sayuna, or monarch of Sayuna, and there's a monarch of Ebengard, right? The way that the whole Donari Empire is structured. So there's 7 lords. There's the monarch of Ebengard, the monarch of Sayuna. There's the Grand Master of the Temple, that's 3. There's the Lord of Remorg, that's 4. The Lord of Embor, 5. The Lord of Asanter, 6. And the Emperor, 7. Right, out of Armitage. So there's like, basically, that's very, very important political aspect of how this whole empire is structured. Mithrin hears me say that. Mithrin would love to have more ways, because he and I talk about more ways to do side quests and horizontal content a lot, and he's been very much in favor of designing in that direction. It is really hard to think of a way to fit that into Symphony of War 1, but if we start from that in the planning stage, then it's much easier. D. Valor says, which makes sense to a lot of leaders, survivors at the end of Symphony of War were friends, so they'd likely have to want to work together. Yeah, actually, so there's going to be an emperor. His name is, so we're getting into some storyline stuff now, which is fine. This is not really spoiler stuff, because it's going to be like in the marketing copy and in the intro and stuff. There's an emperor named Magni, and he is the direct descendant of the Donari bloodline, right? Now, does that mean they're the direct descendant of Linley or Devoa? I don't know. Okay, I don't know, right? If I don't know, nobody knows, right? So we'll figure that out. But he is the inheritor of the bloodline of Donar, right? Therefore, in the way that this empire is structured, he is therefore the emperor, the leader, the head of state. So he is going to be a fantastically successful leader. He's going to actually unite all of these realms, not the east, not the south, and not the west, but the core, Sayuna, and Ebengard. Ebengard, by the way, is Diana's last name. So make of that what you will. So, but in the beginning of the story of Symphony of War 2, Emperor Magni will have died, and in a very untimely, unfortunate way, which will set the stage for basically the events of Symphony of War 2. And he will have died in a war with Grandminster to the east and the Skyborn. So there's a little bit of like an Eastern alliance happening between Stormrook and Grandminster, right? Now you would think, just looking at the land area and kind of you would think that this huge area of like Ebengard plus Sayuna plus Viridia would be able to overpower and overwhelm Stormrook, and Grandmister, just based on like land area and stuff like that. And you would be right. But there's going to be certain things, technologies, magics, and events that will shift it very much in against Viridia's favor, which will result in the Emperor's death. The war will actually end without changing of territory. They will not. Grandmister will not actually gain any territory, and the war will end. But there will be some serious backlash happening in Viridia that will actually make way for the events of Symphony War 2. So, and you know, not the least of which is a succession crisis, right? That's a popular thing that happens in Tanra, especially in Viridia. But you know, it's a good excuse for a big old war, right? So Diana is reverse Indiana Jones. Can you please explain that? I have no idea what that means. Oh, you mean, okay. I was overthinking it. So the state of Indiana, therefore named the guy. And so Diana named the place. I get it. Okay. Yeah. Spoiler, not really a spoiler. Yes. Ebengard, the kingdom of Ebengard, is named after Diana. She will have such a glowing legacy that an entire country will be founded in her name. It's pretty cool, right? It's basically the legacy of the goddess of war, and the descendants of Diana are its monarchs. So that's pretty cool, right? What the hell were we talking about? We were talking about Saina. So they still have the Caledori Desert region. This is where all the mines are, where all their valuable wealth is. So that's the same area. They've got some mines here. They've also got coastline on the west, which is unfortunately exposed to Sunset Bay, which is the center of piracy in the world. So yeah, they're typically the victims of piracy, unfortunately for them. Up here, we'll talk about Emengard a little bit. So you should notice Port Janos. You should remember that from the first game. You should remember Granheim Abbey. That's there. You should remember Fort Naxos. That's from the first game. Ebengard is new. It's going to be a new city, basically founded on the legacy of the goddess of war. And you've got the Throne of Azuros here. Azuros. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Wait, so Alex moved all the way up north to rule because of his mother? I mean, Diana's still only like 35 at the end of the first game, so she's got a lot of spunk left to do some serious shit, right? And Alex is still only 8 years old at the end of Symphony War 1. So make of that what you will. I mean, I guess it could be both of them or just one of them. But the current king of Ebengard at the beginning of Symphony War 2 is, yes, Alex's grandson. So, no, it's Alex's son. The current king is a little bit older. He's Alex's son, right? The descendants of the king, who are playable characters, are Alex's grandkids, and they are playable, and yes, and they're a little young and capable. Okay, yeah. So, yep. So Alex apparently was pretty badass himself when he got older. And the the son of the king, the patron channel has seen the son of the king of Ebengard, who is going to be basically like the Giga Ultra Mega Chad character. Like, he's going to be really, really strong. We have Mount Karnak here. So in the this is still more stuff that is told in the intro. Mount Karnak will experience a massive eruption, and it's actually still erupting. There was an explosive eruption maybe like 20 years ago before the story started, which resulted in actually a change in the world's, like, the facelift of the world. Like, this bay wasn't even there, but basically this volcanic eruption was so massive that it rearranged the face of this part of the world. there's new mountains and stuff and new waters here, that whatever civilization existed here was just wiped off the planet, right? So unfortunate for them. And it's still actually erupting many, many years later, but in a sustained kind of like a billowing ash, but not in a explosive kind of way, right? So you did see a global temperature drop because of the Mount Karnak explosion. It's gotten a little bit better since since the beginning of Symphony of War 2. But there was a global drought, or not a global drought, a global famine because of the drop in temperature that resulted in crop failures. Similar things happened in history with, Krakatoa. What was this? There was an eruption in 1650 that caused the Little Ice Age. 1650 volcano. What was it? Volcano Little Ice Age. It was in the Inca area. It was in Peru or Chile or something. It was the 1600 Huayna Putina volcano that caused the famous Little Ice Age. It was in Peru. And there were, because it dropped world temperatures by a few degrees, I guess, it resulted in some pretty bad famines across the world, just crop failures and stuff like that. So similar thing will happen because of Mount Karnak, but since it's been a couple of years, things will be better, but you'll still be dealing with the social blowback of the famines, right? So the temperature has recovered and gone back up to normal levels, but you're still dealing with some really hurt feelings as to what happened during the famines. So Sky2 says, and is Tanner's equivalent of Frodo to blame for the Karnak disaster? No. Duval says, believe that was when beer was invented as it killed the wine grapes. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. Just a small drop in temperature like that is disastrous for crops. Anyway, I think there was a lot of I think in all the major agricultural regions of Earth, basically Europe, India, China, you had crop failures and famines. So okay, so Mount Karnak, that's a very, very important thing. And the nature of the eruption of Mount Karnak is actually what the heck happened? Nobody knows why it happened, but everyone is blaming each other for the eruption, and everyone is blaming each other for the fallout, not the physical fallout. I'm talking the social fallout, political fallout, right? Famines, riots, social instability, civil wars, stuff like that. When things are not too good, ancient passions come up and wars start, rebellions start, right? So stuff like that did happen. And because of the famines, you actually have a group of revolutionaries, and not just a rebellion, they're like a revolution. They want to overthrow the government of Viridia. They're called the Sons of Viridia, right? So they kind of have this kind of patriotic theme, whether or not you consider them patriots, right? So there's this rebellion/revolution called the Sons of Viridia that are really causing havoc in Viridia by the time the story starts, right? They're raiding trade routes, they're raiding towns, because there's still kind of this feeling of scarcity because of the starvation, the food shortages that were happening, that are still kind of happening, but, now that the crops have recovered, but they still want to overthrow because of they felt that the common people were not taken care of during this time, right? Which they're probably right about, so but they've basically become a terrorism kind of terrorist group. So, you could see them from their point of view in a certain point of view, but very quickly as the story starts, you start to see their leader is not interested in a peaceful or any kind of noble goal, right? they're bad dudes. So, and that's not a spoiler. That's just kind of how it goes. Let's see. Embor is up here. This is where the majority of the fighting took place in the war with Grandminster, was in the Emborian tundra. And so this fortress over here, Grothnor Fortress, so this whole continent of this, not a continent, but just this huge region is called Grothnor. This was actually founded by Emperor Magni as a forward base, like a projection of Donari Temple power, basically. Not Donari Temple, of Donari Empire power. After his death, it was very quickly abandoned, so no one really knows what's going on in Grothnor Fortress now. Perhaps it was occupied by the Grandminster country, but who really knows? It's not a hospitable place, and it certainly isn't checked regularly. So, but basically, because of the death of Magni and the disappearance of Magni, and basically, he was the driving force behind a lot of these projects that are happening in Symphony of War 2. Because of his death, those get abandoned. So basically, the Empire pulled back its borders all the way, basically, to the Ostgard River. They pulled out of Fort Rittenbach. They don't have any influence over the whole tundra. It's basically right outside of Embor Palace and outside of Eastwall and the Ostgard River. It's still pretty safe here, but you don't really have any control over what raiders, monsters, bad things, cold things are going to be happening to you here in the Emborian tundra. It's kind of like being in the middle of Siberia, right? It's just an endless, empty, cold, deadly place, you know. But you have some towns over here kind of that have sea access that seem like they're a little bit warmer. And they have a direct access. They have a direct land access to the Embor Palace, so, which is still a perfectly functioning administrative capital, you know, so. And there's still kind of the Duchy of Embor that was in Symphony of War 1 is kind of this area here. It's severely weakened because of the war with Grandminster, because this territory was the whole part here that we see, but now it's just this, right? So the Lord of Embor is kind of up a creek, but you know they're still doing okay. Who's here? How are we doing, guys? I've been just blah 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 blah. Now we go to we're looking at Bleak Bay here. This is also set up. This Bleak Bay town is a pirate base. You know, you kind of see that this is between these two great powers of Grandminster and Viridia. So you don't really have the greatest sea presence of legitimate government powers patrolling this area. So therefore, you do have, of course, the emergence of black market forces like pirates, smugglers, slave traders, and all that stuff. There's plenty of those in this world now because of the Karnak eruption, because of the war. You know, the amount of order that the great powers are able to provide to the world has been severely pulled back, right? So you have these wild regions of the world like Bleak Bay, like the Emborian Tundra, like over here in the desert and the Sonaran jungle and all that stuff that don't really have the presence of, you know, I guess you could say lawful forces that would provide order and safety to a place, right? Whether or not they're a friendly country, you know, Grandminster is at least still an orderly country that if you were to be a human here, you would just be fine, right? Regardless of whether or not the political situation is friendly to your country. So, you know, if you think about you're leaving Eastwall, you go across the river, what's the next thing you see is these awful marshes, right? So you have pirates here, and you have these marshes here, basically fed by these lakes and by like kind of the storm, you know, patterns that go up this way, and they run up against the Throne of Duros Mountains. So you have this marsh, basically this really dangerous, impassable marsh, right? And then you finally get to a livable area, Port Berindus, Duckwa. This is all new stuff in this game. And this is the capital of Grandminster, called Grandminster, and it's a really big, high-tech city. So make of that what you will. And then, of course, you have on the peripherals of Grandminster, you have the Mist Hollow Forest and the Mist Hollow Manor. Nobody really knows what's going on there either. And you have, of course, Mount Ptolemy in the dead center of Grothnor the Grothnor continent, with the shrine to the divine realm at the top as usual. I don't know what these are, but it's kind of cool, kind of mysterious, right? Try to imagine you get dropped in the middle of the plains of Grothnor. What horrors you would experience other than the endless biting cold. I just think it would be certain doom for you. The throne of Duros here is similar to the throne of Azeroth up here. It's basically dragon home territory. There's other dragon monarchs besides Duros and Azeroth, but this happens to just be the two that are shown currently on the map. So if this whole eastern part of the world is, you've got the marshes, you've got the pirates, you've got the throne of Duros, black dragon brood, not a friendly brood to humans. You've got this abandoned fortress, and you've got this hellish snowy, snowscape here. This whole area is like crazy dangerous to just be in. And then you get a nice area. So you kind of have this like complete separation of civilization between East and West. It's almost like this is like Tibet and the Gobi Desert and the middle of Siberia. And then this is China, right? It's separated from Europe. It's on the other side of really inhospitable Central Asian terrain. But then China itself is extremely hospitable. It's got a lot of farmland. It's a nice place to be, right? In terms of what Mother Nature gave them. So a little bit like that. First time chat from Saitama Bob. Hello, Saitama Bob. First time chat from Primogen66. Okay. Oh boy, you guys talked a lot in like a little burst here. Blah, 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 blah. What's the Venom Death Ruins? It sounds spicy. It certainly does, Milo. I don't know. I have no idea. Ask me later. I have no idea. It's just like this really like remote place that how would you get there? I have no idea. I guess you could fly there. What kind of new units are we looking at, boss? For the sequel, I don't want to say yet because it's kind of the sky's the limit. We have Baraktor units that are the cat people. We have Demirian units that are the small people. We have high-tech units that I don't want to spoil that part. We do have high-tech units. We have Skyborn, which are flying units other than dragons, so that's kind of cool. Lurkermeyer, you made it. Whoa, surprise stream. I was just looking at SoW2 maps the other day, and this is awesome. Divalor says, I've been there. Aha, you've been there in other games of ours. John Lutcole says, good old Ptolemy. Which one? I don't know. The Frami says, are these maps available for everyone or just the Patreons? Well, right now it's on our stream. So, this is the full resolution map here that we're looking at. So everyone's can see it. Hi, Saitama Bob. Give us a follow. Say something. Hi. What else you got? We have Grey Wind Peak here. That should be familiar. That's in the middle of the Sandraka continent in Symphony of War 1 during chapter 21 and 22. Maybe a better question, maybe non-human units. Yeah. Lots more non-human units. The Frami says, I asked because I want to get my hands on one of these. I don't own the money to become a Patreon. I don't know. I mean, it's on the stream. I'll make it available when the game launches, because it's not done right now. That's the main reason. It's very much a work in progress. A lot of things can change. It's like 2 years at least out since the sequel is going to be done. So, yeah, we're looking at it as it is now. So, so what have we not looked at yet? Demiria. So Demirians are, I don't want to say halflings, but they are about half the height of a human. You may have known them as Gondwanans in Echoes of Etheria, but that's a dumb name because why? So they're known as Demirians from Demiria in this world. Their territory is small because they're small. You can have the same amount of Demirians in a smaller space, right? So this is their basically island. And there is a Demirian who is a very, very primary character. There's like, I would say 3 or 4 primary, like almost like protagonists in this game. And one of them is Demirian. And he's about this big and he's adorable. No, I'm just kidding. He's maybe like 4 feet tall. Well, yeah. Anyway, talked about Varna again, but this is, it's basically the trade port of the world. As you can see, it's got really great access to all of the world's seaports. It's very central. It's next to Viridia, so piracy is almost non-existent here. Because it's next to Viridia, you do have a lot of the forces of order and civilization kind of keeping the sea lanes safe. The Emerald Sea is safe. It's safe from storms and it's safe from pirates. Once you get past these mountains here, then you get storms up the wazoo. Like, this is a very stormy area here in the Great Herald Ocean. And then you have pirates up here in Bleak Bay. But then this is kind of protected from the storms, and there's certainly powerful naval forces that are patrolling this area. So you could just go paddle boating in the Emerald Sea and be just fine. I mean, you wouldn't want to be out in the middle of it, right? But, on the coast, a coastline. Can I take over the world as a Demirian warlord? Why not? Why not? I think for Symphony War 2, in realistic terms, we're probably going to have a small amount of units that are non-human in each of the different species, like Skyborn, Demirian, and Varaktor, right? So they're not going to have the same level of just expansive variety that the human units currently do in Symphony of War 1, right? But they'll be more of a supplement to the existing army. So, and that's just because, like, I mean, we're not a AAA studio. We gotta kind of be judicious with the classes. Adding classes to this game is a resource intensive effort. So let's see. Okay, so once we get past this area, now we're in the Forbidden Expanse. So there's basically like a big whirlpool in the middle of this area. Plus, Sunset Bay is a pirate headquarters. And then Valoran Island is just like, there's like nothing good to be, it was okay, but like, it's just like it's like a pirate haven. Like, everything you would want to do, like if you wanted to, like, I don't know, build a meth lab there or something, like you would go here, because like it's just this like hidden remote island. Looking forward to the Hom-inspired game where the answer to that is absolutely, yeah. I'm hyped for whatever you'll make presently. Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at Heroes of Might and Magic, the different factions have a lot of different little types of creatures. Like the tower, especially. You've got the tower has the Titans and the Nagas and the Wizards and the Gnomes and the Robots. They have all sorts of like these different members of that faction. First time chat from Original 1822. Please give us a follow. Welcome to the chat. Hey, will we be able to move freely on the world map in future DLCs? Not in DLCs. In the Symphony War 1 DLC, the side quest map is going to be in the home base map, just like the current side quest, but it's going to be in a separate area. Yeah, I guess Tower's a bit like that, but some of the other factions are like that too. I would say that the dungeon is also a bit like that. So is the Rampart. The Rampart definitely is like that. Kind of just throw a bunch of random shit in there. So other ones are a little bit more homogenous. Like the Stronghold certainly is like a bunch of orcs. Castle is just a bunch of humans with like a griffin and an angel. So, yeah, I mean, it depends on the faction, but anyway, Sonara is the homeland of Raskuja's people, the Baraktor. So they're in the middle of the jungle here, kind of separated out from humanity. I said that this is kind of a hotbed of piracy activity. It's not the Baraktor who are the pirates. It's basically anyone who is any living creature who wants to be a pirate is a pirate there. But the Sonaran mainland is where like the homeland of the kind of this whole area of where the Baraktor live. That's kind of where they grow these exotic fruits, and they used to have a really good trade relationship with Siena next door, but now they don't. Just because they're not the biggest fan of humans, basically due to the history, which I can see. There's a history of colonization and slavery happening there. So, there's some resentment. Sky2 says, since HOM 3 came up, any thoughts on the board game version currently on Kickstarter? Yes. I have thoughts on that. Holy shit is my thought. How much money have they made? 3 million? Oh my god. I mean, I get it. HOM 3 it's legendary. I love that game. I absolutely love that game. I'm not a board game guy though. I'm just not. So I'm not backing this project as much as I love HOM 3. It's just because I'm not a board game guy, right? But yeah, it's awesome. It looks great. I mean, it looks just like the graphics from HOM 3. So, very, very cool. But yeah, $3 million. Gosh, what could we do with $3 million of a development budget? Holy shit. Yeah, we would not be using RPG Maker, that's for sure. That'd be cool. I would like that opportunity to have that much resources to develop the game. That'd be cool. But whatever. We'll see what kind of support we can get next year. Anyway, I think that's the majority of the world that we just went over. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, well, any more questions about the Symphony of War 2 world building, setting, politics, creatures, species, history, events, yada yada yada? If not, we're gonna go into a tier list. I don't know what tier list, but we can just decide what kind of tier list as a fun little bunch here. Milo says, you never know when you launch the Kickstarter for this game. We're not going to do $3 million. How much trouble did Beatrix cause in the interim? Hey, it's a great question. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they've pretty much hit their goal. I think their goal was 50,000. So they've hit it. I think what's the math on that one? They have surpassed it by, they have hit it by 60 times. So good for them. Good for them. I'm actually, as much as I'm not a board gamer guy, I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that HOM 3 still has that much love for it. I love it to death. So it's kind of nice to see. It's such an old game, It's just kind of nice to know that like this, and that's one of the big reasons why Symphony of War got so much attention is because there's so many of us who remember Ogre Battle for the Super Nintendo. But that's a long time ago. Or they remember Super Nintendo, or they remember the 64 version, which is slightly less long time ago. It was still a pretty long time ago, right? Yeah. I'm really hoping, like, one of my greatest hopes right now is that Yeah, no kidding, Maya. Modern games suck. That's why that's why Myth and I make them, because like we just want to make good games like they used to. One of my greatest hopes is that Symphony of War 1 is timeless enough that we can take our time on the sequel. Because as much as I would love to just slam something out for a cash grab, we're not going to do that. We want to make something really, really, really great. We want to expand greatly on the engine that we've already made. I don't know if we want to take another 6 years. I definitely don't want to take that long, but I want to take maybe 3 years and see what we can get done in that time. And really just flesh out kind of this formula that we've developed. Where in the map did MC go to fight during the epilogue? Well, yeah, they were talking about going to Grothnor, which is on this map. It's over here. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same way in Symphony of War 1. Once you get past Embor, you go to the Felnamia area, which in this map is this way, but in Symphony of War 1, it's this way. Then you would go further east beyond Felnamia, off the map, to basically an endless icy plain, which is basically what Grothnor is. So that's where they went. Good question, Milo. A rare moment of serious gravitas from our friend Milo. Maya says, for me, I think Symphony of War will be a game that every time I come back to it, I'll be amazed how much is there and wonder why I don't play it more. I wish I had more draft potential, but that's just me being weird. When I got Symphony of War, I never thought of how much would be in there. Yeah, we appreciate it for sure, and we hope there'll be a lot more in our sequel here. Let's come up with a tier list. What do we want to do? What's our tier list for the day? Old video game tier lists, character tier lists, something from Symphony of War. But I'd have to make something up. It's nice to just find what's already made. Drafting in games like Fire Emblem or Last Remnant. We already did a SoW class tier list. I should say, I'm almost done with the portraits. Like, I have 32 out of 35 portraits for the characters of Symphony of War 2. Dunzo. Dunorama. And they're awesome. They're so much better than the ones in Symphony of War 1. Oh my god. Like, they are good. Yeah, we put out a patch since the tier list, but it didn't change things that much. Sneak peeks are for patrons. Sorry, but there will be a lot more much later on. Certainly for Kickstarter backers, yes. For talking about working on Symphony of War 2 for 3 years, I'm surprised at how much is finished. Well, this script is mostly finished. The world building is finished, but there's the nitty gritty, like the boring, like bash your head against the wall part of game dev is not finished. So, and I have only done like 2 music tracks. I got to get the soundtrack going here. Whether or not I'm going to write the whole thing or I'm going to actually have somebody else write it or find some royalty free stuff. It'll have to be a pretty extensive soundtrack. A task that I'm excited to get to and also scared to get to is writing all that freaking music. Maya says, one day I want to do a Baldur's Gate draft. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of characters. Let me actually see. Let me get a tier list up. Okay, let's do... What's a good tier list? Maybe like a Super Nintendo game tier list? There's got to be one already made. Not just RPGs, but all games in general. I like this one. Let's do this one. All right, we're gonna do Super Nintendo games tier list maker. Oh, wonderful! This is gonna be fun, guys. Okay, let me fix up the scene here. Oh, gosh. All right, let's go ahead and look at the game list. I will be right back, guys. Okay. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. First game is... Oh, God. What is that? I can't even tell. Oh, God. How are you supposed to know what these are? I guess I'm going to put it in haven't played. Robotrek. Anyone played this one? I didn't play it. Let's skip it for now. Killer Instinct. I actually really liked this one. A lot of, I was into fighting games back in the day. But I don't know. I think the primitive 3D kind of doesn't look good at this point. I'll put it in C tier. Donkey Kong Country 2 is kind of legendary. It's not really my thing, my personal thing, but where do we want Robotrek? And I want to be picky with what we put in S tier. Not everything goes in S tier. Okay, overrated. All right, we'll put it in B tier. No one's gonna convince me not to put Link to the Past in S tier. Sorry. Super Mario. Gosh, I said I was gonna be picky about S tier, but then we have Zelda and then Super Mario RPG. Right after that, shit. It's not higher than Link to the Past, but I fucking love this game. This game. I love it more than Zelda. I just think it's not quite as brilliant of a game. Robot, we'll put that in. He said it was quirky and cute, so I'll put it in B, I guess. Super Metroid, I think, is one of the greatest games ever made, period. For any system, for any genre, for any IP. It's just fucking perfect. There's like nothing you can criticize about Super Metroid. It's so good. It's just so fucking good. I know, it's because we had 3 bangers right off the bat. Zelda. I thought that was on purpose. Zelda. Hey, old Zelda. It can be Zelda. I actually think the controls are perfect. They're like just complex enough, and I don't know. ActRaiser is really good. I don't know if it's an S tier though. I like ActRaiser a lot. Illusions of Gaia is pretty cool. I like it. It's kind of part of the whole mana spectrum of games. I'm gonna put it at top of B tier. What is Dragon View? I have no idea what that is. Lufia 2. Gosh. That's a good one. Although, yeah, I'm gonna put it below ActRaiser. That's a tough one. It does belong in A tier though. What the hell is the Igniter? Whatever. I don't know what that is. Super Mario World. It's good. I like other Mario Super Nintendo games better, though. I'm going to put this on top of B. Chrono Trigger. Yeah, I'm sorry, Super Metroid. What? How do you... Okay, there we go. I mean, these are some of the greatest games of all time. These 3 games. They're just so perfect. All 3 of them are just absolute masterpieces. Yeah, Lufia 2 is good. This game fucking sucks. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It's terrible. I don't value a game based on how hard it is. Shadowrun, is that what this is? I never played Shadowrun, but I always liked the cyberpunk setting, and I thought it was pretty cool. I never played it, but I think it's probably interesting looking. Wild Guns, isn't that the first-person shooter one? I think I've played it. I think I remember it being pretty cool. Yeah, sorry. I think that probably other people's tier lists would be a little bit different in terms of the S. But Final Fantasy VI is... Chrono Trigger is objectively, like, perfect, but Final Fantasy VI is, like, perfect in my heart. Okay, well, see you from. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining our Twitch. Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, pretty cool game, I guess. I would say it's a better fighter than Killer Instinct. I am a fan of fighter. Street Fighter 2. Is this the only Street Fighter? Because Street Fighter 2 is definitely the best SNES fighter game. I'm going to put that here. Oh, no, here. Aladdin. Oh, God, these games, these are terribly designed. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Dude, Street Fighter 2 it fucking destroys Killer Instinct. Are you kidding me? Oh, get out of town. Okay, guys. UN Squadron. I love this fucking game. UN Squadron. It's such a sleeper hit. I love this game. Music is good. It's RPG mechanics for fighter jets. Oh, God, I love it. I think it goes there. I love UN Squadron. Goof Troop? I never played it. This game, oh, Mystical Ninja. I love Mystical Ninja. It's so fun. Y'all play Mystical Ninja? Like Japanese meme themed the entire time. Oh my God, really, dude? Go play The Legend of the Mystical Ninja. I love this game. I'm actually gonna go above UN Squadron. Yeah, it's Goemon. It's Goemon in Japanese. Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings is cute. It's a good game. It's cute, but it's like so limited. It probably goes here. Super Mario Kart is awesome. Goes there. No, it doesn't. It goes there. Donkey Kong Country, it goes next to the other Donkey Kong for me. Kirby, didn't really play much of the Kirby games, sorry. Where does it go, guys? I'll let you guys decide. Chaos Engine, don't know where that is. What is this? Oh, this one! Nagane. I've heard that this is really good. Okay, I'll just go here. I haven't played it. I haven't played this one, but I've heard that this one's really cool. I'm just gonna not played. Maybe we'll put some of the not playeds in it, and if you guys tell me what the tier list should be. Oh, okay. Kirby is D. Super Bomberman, it's Bomberman. It's whatever. Secret of Mana, S tier, but it goes there. Empire Strikes Back. These Star Wars games are dog shit. These are terrible. Soul Blazer. Oof. C, but we're gonna go here. Gradius 3. I love this game. I really like this game. It's one of my. I think it's maybe my favorite side-scrolling. Not a popular genre of mine, but we'll go here above Mortal Kombat. Knights of the Round. Is that what this is? I don't know what that is. That's the one with Arthur and Lancelot and the big dude, right? Yeah, a lot of this system has a lot of S tier games. I mean, we're putting Mario Kart, Street Fighter, and ActRaiser in A tier. That means there's a lot of competition. I think this is the beat 'em up for. It's kind of cool. It was okay. Castlevania 4 is really fun. I love this game. I love the music. I love the level design. Yeah, I agree with that, Milo. I'm gonna go here. I love that game. Earthbound. You guys are gonna hate me for this. I know it's a beloved game. The style is not. It's not for me. It's not. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into the, suspension of disbelief. Sorry. It's definitely better than Super Ghouls and Ghosts, though. Shit. Star Fox. We go here in A tier. Obviously, this game rules. Maybe above ActRaiser. NHL. I don't play sports games. Mega Man X. There's so many good games. We got to put it in A tier. Let's do below ActRaiser. Turtles in Time? Are you fucking kidding me? Ugh. Okay, where does this go? Maybe right there. That game rules. F-Zero. Good game. I like it. We're going to put it there. Breath of Fire 2. Get the hell out of here. We'll go there. Breath of Fire 2 is awesome. Love that game. Yeah, it is. It's one of the best beat 'em ups ever. Maybe the best ever. Don't know what this game is. Phantom. Don't know. Metal Warriors. I wanted to like this game, but I hated it. It sucked. Earthworm Jim. I really wanted to like Earthworm Jim because I love the aesthetic. It's like got this like 90s kind of like Beavis and Butthead style, kind of what I grew up with when I was like a middle schooler, kind of that childish humor. But the game is way too hard and it plays really poorly. The graphics are awesome though. I love the presentation of Earthworm Jim. It's gonna go here. Terranigma, great music. I love the music in this game. We'll go there. Demon's Crest sucks. NBA Jam. I love NBA Jam. We'll go here. It's going to go above Super Mario World, guys. I love that game. Harvest Moon. Didn't play it, but I know people love it. Secret of Evermore. I'm just gonna put a text this Terra Enigma because why not? Super Turrican never played it. Yeah, I know Terra Enigma is. It's got quite a dark horse following. Final Fight. Is there only one? If it's the only Final Fight, I love Final Fight, but it's not. It's not up there with like Turtles in Time. I would say maybe it goes below here. It goes there. R-Type. I think it's too hard. I don't like it. It doesn't control. Contra 3 fucking rules, and fight me IRL if you don't like Contra 3. It's going in A tier. I just don't know where in A tier. We're going. I'm gonna go there. That's a tough one. Okay, Tetris. I don't know. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. This is kind of a fun game, but it's not really my thing. It's fun. It's quirky. I like the jokes and I like the humor. I like the theme. We'll go there. Never played DK3. It's above Earthworm. Where is Earthworm? Oh, I put it in B tier. No, Earthworm goes in C tier. Mega Man X2 still good. I mean, I think X1 was the best. I don't know why they put more than one Mega Man in here because that's kind of dumb, but it's still good. I'm gonna go bottom of A tier for now. Space Megaforce, I have no idea. Super Smash TV, you guys play this? This is kind of a cool game. It's kind of dumb, but it's kind of fun anyway. Punch Out, yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess. Ken Griffey didn't really play sports games. Axelay never played it. King of Dragons? Never played it. Sparkster never played it. Big money, big prizes. I love it. Right. All right. Ogre Battle. Obviously, we're going in S tier. We're in a Symphony of War stream, so Ogre Battle's going in S tier. Okay, so I got a recommendation from D-Rally for King of Dragons. We'll look at it. Ogre Battle goes in S tier. Where in S tier though? I can't even scroll all the way up. So we got. Yeah, I'm going there. I think that's probably way higher than the average SNES player's Ogre Battle tier list, but that's where it is for me. So that's where it is for y'all as well. Oh, yeah, John, I've played that game. Oh, my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's not even on here, which is fine. What is this? I don't even know what it is. Pocky and Rocky. I always thought the art was cute, but I never played it. Skyblazer, never waited. I played Skyblazer. Did I? I don't know. Super Mario All-Stars, who cares? Oh, what is this? It's that Western first-person shooter, right? I don't even know. Yoshi's Island, the best platformer in the world except for Super Metroid. I love this game. Yoshi's Island, best SNES game. I'll fight anyone. It's definitely the best Mario game of all the Mario games. I'm just gonna maybe not Super Mario RPG, but it's S tier, but I don't know where in S tier. Let's see. I don't even count it as the same category as Super Metroid. They're both platformers, but like they're so different. I'm gonna go there, right above Super Mario RPG. It is the best Mario game. It's just like kind of surprising how good it is. It's got like the cute kind of the baby crying is annoying, but other than that, the baby themed aesthetics is like funny. It's cute, you know, and Yoshi's abilities are really fun and addicting, and just the level design is brilliant, and the graphics are absolutely brilliant, and the music is addictive, and you know, it's kind of one of these. It was kind of a late life cycle game for Super Nintendo, so I don't think it got nearly as much hype as Super Mario World, for example, did, or some of the other hyped games did in the earlier life cycle of Super Nintendo. But hands down, one of the masterpieces of the Mario franchise is Yoshi's Island. I'm trying to think of a Mario themed game that's better. You know, I mean, if you're talking about better, you're talking about Super Mario RPG, which is not even remotely in the same category. So whatever. All right, let's look at our all time. I'm saying all time. I mean, 64 is a really good game. I love Mario 64. I haven't really played the recent ones. But Yoshi's Island is awesome. It's a masterpiece. It really is. All the games on the S tier are masterpieces. Like they have practically no faults. Right? Give me a fault in any of these games other than like Ogre Battle has some balance issues. Really, these games don't have any faults. Final Fantasy Blind doesn't work. Checkmate. Checkmate, Scrubs. Try again. You win again, Milo. I remember playing Super Metroid for like 5 minutes, turning it off forever. Wow, really? Maybe it has a slow start is the one thing about Super Metroid. You know, because once you get like the grapple beam and the speed boots and like the space jump and all these other cool ass things that Samus can do in that game. It really opens up, and God, there's so many things you can do with the limited amount of tools that they give you. It's crazy. The game is a freaking masterpiece. One thing of Super Metroid is you can solve complicated exploration puzzles, get your 2000th missile tank, and you're like, great, this is what I really wanted, but no, it's a perfect game. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Those missile tanks are kind of dumb when you get them, but like, to me, they're more like just kind of a task that you do. You accumulate more missiles because there's not a lot of things that do significant damage to boss fights. I did really like the boss fights in that game. They're really fun. One of them was, I actually was kind of disappointed by the Ridley fight because he was hyped up as such a cool character, like in the beginning of the game. And the lower Norfair level was really, really cool. Excuse me. But the final boss is really cool. Yeah, the intro of Super Metroid is you're still at the space station. It's basically a tutorial. It does suck compared to the game, so maybe that's the one fault. But it's so good. It's so good. Let's see. What is the fault of Final Fantasy VI? Tell me. Just the fact that JRPGs are kind of hard to play these days. That's it. I mean, it had some bugs. I do think that there probably should have been a little bit more distinction between the cast, but the cast is so huge that why? I think the lack of distinction was actually built into the secret sauce of Final Fantasy VI, so that it's not really a fault. It's just kind of a design choice. What fault does Chrono Trigger have, honestly? Anyone have any faults for Chrono Trigger? I can't think of it. I mean, it doesn't capture my heart quite as much as Final Fantasy VI did, but I'm busting my brain to try and think of any mistake that they made or any problem in the game. The Chrono Trigger's fault is its sequel. Yeah. Chrono Trigger's fault is that it ended, I guess. Right? It's so perfect. I wish Marley and Luca kept scaling harder since their attack is based on hit. Yeah, Marley and Luca, I don't really care. I mean, you can still beat the game with any character combination, so who really cares? The fact that obviously Robo, Chrono, and Ayla are the best three. Robo and Chrono are the best two characters by a huge, like there's so like Robo especially is way overpowered in that game. But yeah, you don't have to use that combination. You can use, I would say the worst three would be probably Frog, Marley, and Magus. You know, if you were to use those three, you can still beat the game. Who cares? The Final Fantasy VI commercial for the US. I bet it's cringe. Excuse me. Ogre Battle has flaws. Let's be honest here. It has flaws. Balance issues galore, especially as you get into the late game. The fact that alignment is really kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. This game just has so much heart, you know, that I think the people, us TRPG fans in this chat, are going to put it in the S tier. Easily abusable, yeah. I would say it's the one game in S tier in this list that isn't like an absolutely perfect masterpiece. It is a masterpiece in my opinion, because of how of its, you know. I look forward to alignment being a class change factor in Symphony of War 2. I look forward to not doing that. I'm gonna make it so that like it's the opposite of that. Once you know what you're doing, you kind of have to know what you're doing to interact with the systems well. Oh, and what you, okay, yeah. It's funny everyone loves Ogre Battle on here, but never played it myself. Milo, you never played Ogre Battle? Oh my god. Okay, D. Valoroth's homework is to go play Goemon, or Legend of the Mystical Ninja, and Milo has to go play Ogre Battle. Are you kidding me? Ogre Battle is also gorgeous. Yes, it is. I've also wanted to actual tarot deck. Ogre Battle, I think, has maybe one of the best graphics in the Super Nintendo. Ogre Battle looks better than like Nintendo 64 games. It's absolutely beautiful. I remember, I mean, the Mode 7 map is not really, but the battles and the sprites, they look awesome. Okay, what are the faults of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past? There is none. There's none. I mean, we don't have to have an extended conversation about this. It's the premier adventure game of all time. It doesn't have faults. It's just your fault is that it's not like, you know, in a genre that's in your top genre, but whatever. Yoshi's Islands has no faults either. It's the same thing as Zelda. It's the premier platformer. It doesn't really have faults. It's just if that's not like your favorite genre, then it's not going to be above RPGs, for example, right? Super Mario RPG, the annoying baby. Nobody really, you know, yeah. Don't get hit then. You know, but the whole game has baby aesthetics. It has scribbles and crayons. I love that. It's so funny and cute, right? Super Mario RPG doesn't really have, you know, it's an RPG. It's not as brilliant as Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, but it's so good. Oh, the Geno fanboys. Oh, that's so true. I like Geno, but yeah, the Geno fanboys is just, they just gotta go. They're almost as bad as Master Chief. Yeah, we got to play as Bowser finally. That's so true. Oh god. That's like League of Legends. Like League of Legends is a brilliant game. And Riot is a brilliant studio, but the fan base is literally the worst of any fan base of any video game in history. That's the only flaw. Secret of Mana flaws. Yeah, it has flaws. The leveling of magic skills sucks. And the fact that you had to hold the attack bar for long. That's not a good way to do different attacks. That was dumb. It wasn't worth it to use anything but the first power-up or like just the regular attack. The charge time on weapons, the amount you have to interact with menus to do spells. Yep. Other than that, it is an S tier game. Turtles in Time doesn't have flaws. That's the same way as Zelda and Yoshi's Island. It doesn't have flaws. It's just, are beat 'em ups your favorite genre or not, right? Turtles in Time is absolutely perfect. Yeah, Trials is a much better game. If Trials of Mana or SD3 was actually on this list, it would be S tier and it would be above Secret of Mana. SD3 would be probably right here between Ogre Battle and Super Metroid. It's such a good game. Yeah, I know. And looking at some of the games in S tier and A tier, I think that it makes sense that some of these would be in A tier because they all have distinct drawbacks. Real quick, Star Fox has very slow processing and kind of ugly graphics at times. Breath of Fire 2, maybe it's too high on this list. It's an RPG that I kind of really love personally, just because of the music and the characters that I got to know as a little kid. Yeah, I think we all kind of love it. It was an early life cycle game. We love the characters, the kind of the repeating characters, the Breath of Fire series. The music in this game is awesome, which kind of I'm biased, but in terms of RPG mechanics, it's not as good, definitely not as good as the S tier RPGs. And I think it's probably not even as good as some lower RPGs on this list, like maybe like Lufia. Lufia has better RPG mechanics than Breath of Fire 2. It really does. It's just the music of the characters, the cute. It's kind of a cute setting. I liked some of the things that happened in the game, especially the intro is kind of cool. You play this little kid and you get your ass beat by a giant demon, and it's kind of, I like the game. I like the town building and yeah, Dryu's dragon form, yeah. ActRaiser. I guess it doesn't really have a flaw. ActRaiser does exactly what it set out to do. It is an ActRaiser themed game. What is it? It's just an action game with a city sim. There's nothing else like it except for ActRaiser 2, which is way worse. Doesn't even belong on this list. Yeah, there's no flaws. Mega Man X doesn't have flaws either. It's just not my favorite. It's not my favorite IP, and it's not my favorite genre, but it doesn't have flaws. Mega Man X is awesome. It is a masterpiece. It would probably go in a lot of people's S tier. So Mario Kart doesn't really have flaws. It's just not my favorite. It's not. I'm not a racer guy, right? Street Fighter 2, same thing. It's. I guess it's not as. I don't know. I can't really speak to. I'm not like a fighting game guy, right? Castlevania 4, I think, had really clunky controls at times, but I'm a big Castlevania fan. I love the IP. I think that Super Nintendo didn't serve Castlevania quite as well as later systems did, or earlier systems in the NES did, because Castlevania 1 and 3 are awesome. Castlevania 2 can die in a fire. I hate that game. Goemon, it's not a deep game, but it's surprisingly addicting. D. Valroth, you have to play this game. It's fun. I love this game. And if you ask any Japanese person who is actually a native of Japan, they will tell you that all of the little memes and stuff in this game are basically what you would see as a tourist. Like super Japanese touristy aesthetics. And for an American audience, I think that's really, really fun. So Contra 3's drawback is that it's too hard. Jesus Christ. Otherwise, it's fucking awesome. UN Squadron doesn't really have drawbacks. It's just fun. I guess it's just cool. Luffy 2, didn't capture me as quite as much as I think the aesthetics The graphics were not up my alley, but I think Lufia 2 might actually be an S tier for a lot of RPG fans. It is objectively better game than Breath of Fire 2, I think. You know, the kind of the map stuff that you could do was a little bit revolutionary at the time. NBA Jam doesn't really belong in the A tier here, but come on, it's NBA Jam. You know, he's on fire and the giant heads, and it's kind of a timeless classic. I love this game. Mega Man X2, meh. Same thing as Mega Man X, you know. Okay. Jesus Christ, I've been going a while here. Oh, the password system. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, Milo, are you going to go play Ogre Battle? Let us know. Has anyone here not played Ogre Battle for Super Nintendo? After Symphony of War, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna feel pretty outdated, but it's still worth a play. It's very much worth a play. I can give you a soft maybe. Currently running through Pathologic 2. Werewolf good. Princess better. Lich OP. Correct. Yeah. If you get a Lich, put him in a party with a princess leader. Put a wyvern or griffin in front, and you win the game. That's all you need. It's stupid. Anyway. Play through the S tier games. Do I really want to do... Am I a Let's Player? I don't know. Am I? Yeah, maybe I am. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll save this. We'll post it in the Discord, and maybe we'll play through these. So, all right, I've gone way long here. I gotta make dinner for my fam, and yeah. But it's been a while. It's been a few weeks. Again, we're just doing one thing here. We're doing localization, so it's kind of a boring time in development, I'm gonna admit. So there hasn't been much to talk about. I haven't really had a ton of energy to focus on the DLC. We got to do that, but you know, we will. Once this loc is kind of wrapped up, we'll get cranking on the DLC like hardcore. So, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't followed, please follow. If you haven't liked the game, if you haven't thumbs up the game on Steam, please do. If you haven't followed the Twitch, please do. Don't do the donation thing on Twitch. If you want to support us, there's a Patreon, or just wait till our Kickstarter happens. Yep, thank you guys for hanging out. It's always a fun time. Let me know what tier lists and subjects we want to talk about next time. Maybe not next week. We'll see. There's a lot of holiday stuff going on in the next month or so. But, you know, don't forget about me, guys. All right. Bye-bye. We'll see ya.